Okay, time for video number 2. Take out those geo books. Time to talk about lines and angles. Well, I have some good news for you. All you have today is vocabulary. You won't have to fill out the notes section. So our first vocab word is line. And a line is just a straight, one-dimensional figure that extends forever in both directions. So if you look at this is a line. Notice the arrows? That shows that the line will go on in both directions forever. Okay, and there's points on our line. In fact, the line is made up of an infinite number of points, but here we have 2 points that are labeled A and B. And so because we know these 2 points, it'll help us name the angle. It'll help us name the line. So the line we could call AB, line AB. So you'll see this notation for the rest of the year. You could also call this line BA. Notice this little symbol above it? It looks like a little line. That's how we know that we're talking about line AB as opposed to something else like a line segment or array, which we'll talk about in a little while. So we could call this line AB or line BA. Okay, if we wanted to just talk about this piece of the line from here to here, we didn't want the whole thing. Okay, just that piece, we call that a line segment. So a line segment has endpoints. It actually will stop. And we can call this line segment AB, or we can call it line segment BA. So we can go A to B or B A. And notice that the little symbol above it doesn't have the arrows on it. That's how we know the difference between a line segment and a line. So get used to that notation. This is how we name lines and line segments. Okay, so pause the video and make sure you write all this down. Okay, now let's talk about angles. We've already worked with angles in class, but now let's look at all of the different parts of an angle. So an angle is a figure formed by 2 rays with the same endpoint. An array, R-A-Y, array is part of a line that has an endpoint. So right here would be the endpoint, and this right here would be the ray, and it extends forever in one direction. So a line extends forever in both directions. A ray extends forever in one direction. So 2 rays, 1, 2, will form an angle when you put the endpoint together. Okay, that endpoint right there where the 2 rays meet up is called the vertex. So this is a ray, this is a ray, this right here is the vertex. There's ways to name an angle, and this is really important because you're going to see all different ways of writing an angle throughout this course. So the first way is angle. We use the symbol angle. This is the symbol for angle, angle BAC. So you can describe this angle by its points. Angle BAC. And the order is important. You want the vertex to be in the middle. So BAC or CAB. You can write it angle CAB. Okay, what you don't want to do is say angle ABC. That won't work. The middle letter has to be the vertex. Now you can also describe this angle by just the vertex. So if I want to call this angle A, I can. I don't need to list these points. So you can just put simply angle A. But you can't call it angle B, and you can't call it angle C. Okay, you name the angle by its vertex, or you go ahead and list the other points that are on there. Those are the parts of an angle. So pause the video and copy it down. Okay, now let's talk about different types of angles. We looked at the parts of angles. Let's talk about different types. So there's 4 different types that we're going to talk about. There's acute angles, right angles, which I'm sure you've heard of that one, obtuse angles, and straight angles. So acute angles I remember those because they're cute. They are angles that measure between 0 and 90 degrees. So they're the little angles. They're cute. So between 0 and 90, it could be 80 degrees, it could be 10 degrees. All those angles between 0 and 90 we call acute angles. So they're the small ones. Right angles measure exactly 90 degrees. So they form right angles, 90 degrees. We worked with that in class already. Obtuse angles, those are the big ones. Those measure between 90 and 180 degrees. So it has to be between 90 and 180. So maybe 120 degrees or 170 degrees. All those angles between 90 and 180 would be called obtuse angles. One more, a straight angle. A straight angle is what we're used to just calling a line. Okay, you can also call it a straight angle because it measures 180 degrees. So this is how we measure 180 degrees. We draw a line, really, and we call it a straight angle. So copy those down. Okay, 2 more to go. Okay, next vocab, complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles, two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. So the measure of this angle, whatever this one is, plus the measure of this angle, so measure A of angle A plus the measure of angle B, has to equal 90 degrees. Okay, so this little m right here, the measure means measure, the measure of angle A, the measure of angle A. Okay, so whatever this degree is plus whatever this degree is has to equal 90. If that's the case, you have complementary angles. Okay, so the angles don't have to be touching. They could just be two random angles that add up to 90. Okay, well, if they are touching like this, then they would form 90 degrees. So angle X plus angle Y has to equal 90 degrees. So you can see it like this. You would call these complementary, and you could also call these complementary angles. As long as they add up to 90 degrees, they're complementary. Okay, last one, supplementary angles. Okay, well, supplementary angles are similar to complementary angles, except instead of adding up to 90 degrees, the two angles add up to 180 degrees. So this angle plus this angle, so angle A plus angle B, the measure of those angles would have to equal 180 degrees. If that is true, then you have supplementary angles. Well, sometimes the two angles are touching. They're next to each other. Okay? And we have a name for that. We're going to get to that at another time. But this angle plus this angle, measure of angle X plus the measure of angle Y, would equal 180. You're working with supplementary angles. Okay, make sure you fill out your table of contents. I hope you took good notes today, and we'll see you in class.